Hi everyone! Have you ever watched two young children argue over a toy? As an early childhood teacher, I see these moments every day. Small hands grabbing, big voice rising, and even fight. At first, I used to think conflict means failure, that I had lost control of my classroom. But over time, I began to wonder, what if conflict is not just chaos? What if it's actually an opportunity, a moment where deep thinking can begin? Let's welcome to my podcast, Talking Through Conflicts, Deep Thinking in Children's Social Interactions. I'm Xiaohong, or you can call me Serena, an early childhood teacher passionate about helping children understanding their thoughts and emotions. In today's episode, we will explore how think aloud, saying our thoughts out loud, can transform conflicts into lessons in reflection, empathy, and reasoning. And we will evaluate whether this approach truly helps children build deep thinking skills or if it is simply another educational trend. In today's show, I will focus on two examples that happened in my classroom. The first example is the yellow truck. Andy, Andy, it is mine. I had it first. David, no, you always take the yellow truck. This is a classic preschool conflict that happens in my childcare center. One toy, two children, and a storm of emotions. This is where I use Think Aloud to model calm, reflective reasoning. Me as a teacher, I will say, I can see both of you really want this yellow truck, but I'm thinking about what is fair. I noticed that when we both want the same thing, we can feel upset. I'm thinking maybe there's another way for both of you to play. At that moment, I wasn't just managing behavior, I was making thinking visible. By verbalizing my reasoning, I invited the children to think, not just react. Andy, maybe he can play after me. David, okay, we can share. It is a small moment, but it reveals something powerful. When children hear us think aloud, they begin to internalize how to reason, reflect, and resolve, key components of deep thinking in action. The second example that happened in my classroom is the spilled paint. Jack. Oh no, you spilled my paint. William. It wasn't me. It was an accident. Jack. You ruined my picture. This is another common classroom conflict. This time, it's about accident and blame. Instead of stepping in to fix it, I use think aloud. Me as a teacher, I said, I'm noticing both of you are upset. I'm thinking about what we can do next. I can see the paint spilled, and I can see a sad face. I'm wondering how can we make this right together. William, I can help clean it up. Jack, okay, maybe we can share a new one. We can make a new one. These words convey an important message to children. Conflicts can be resolved through thinking and communication rather than through blame. This enables children to see the process of thinking itself, helping them learn to observe first, then think, and then act when facing problems. Moments like this show that deep thinking is emotional thinking. It is not only about problem solving, it is about empathy, responsibility, and seeing multiple perspectives. Now, let's step back and evaluate what is really happening here. When teachers think aloud, children begin to develop metacognition, the ability to think about their own thinking. They start asking questions like, why do I feel this way? Or what can I do next? That is not just emotional growth, it is cognitive sophistication. However, think alouds require balance. If they are overused or delivered mechanically, children stop listening. They must feel authentic as a reflection, not teacher scripts. In these two classroom examples, the value of think alouds wasn't in giving answers, but in modeling curiosity. When I think aloud, what is fair? Or what can we do next? I demonstrate that thinking is an ongoing process, not a fixed rule. That is what distinguishes reflective education from reactive discipline. Traditional discipline focuses on compliance, such as stop that, say sorry. But think aloud focus on the process. For example, we need to know what happened and how can we solve this together. The difference is subtle but profound. The one stops behavior, the other grows mind. Because when we are thinking what happened, the focus of conversation shifts from blaming someone to analyzing and understanding the fact and the situation. This helps people from both sides view the conflict objectively and reduces emotional defense and personal attacks. This is the process of externalizing internal process into visible and collaborative steps, making conflict resolution more efficient. In the 21st century, deep thinking is often described as the foundation of creativity, problem solving, and emotional intelligence. But these abilities don't suddenly appear in adulthood. They are cultivated in early childhood. In everyday interactions, like the two classroom examples we just heard, modern life rewards fast responses, quick clicks, short attention spans, instant opinions, but children need space that values slow thinking. Think aloud teach them to pause, analyze, and reflect, the very habits our world really needs. However, it is important to acknowledge that think alouds are only part of a broader picture. Research in social emotional learning shows that emotional regulation, empathy, and reflective dialogue must all work together. Think alouds are the entry point, the voice that bridging feelings and reasoning. And as Vygotsky reminded us, thinking develops through social interaction. When adults model reflection, children internalize that language of thought, transforming social experiences into personal understanding. So, what can we take away from all this? Deep thinking doesn't begin in universities or office. It begins in small emotional moments of human connection. When we pause, reflect, and think aloud, we model a way of living that values understanding over reaction. Every conflict, big or small, gives us a choice. We can react impulsively or we can respond thoughtfully. For teachers, this means guiding children to use words instead of tears and reflection instead of complaint. For parents, it means listening before judging, turning moments of tension into teachable opportunities. And for all of us, adults navigating relationships, workplaces, and social media, it means practicing what we hope to see in our children. Pause before reacting and asking, what am I feeling? What might the other person need? So here's my call to action. Next time you find yourself in a conflict, at home, at work, or even online, let's just pause, take a breath, make your thought visible. Replace harsh words with a curiosity questions. Take a deep breath. Can effectively break the automatic emotion reaction chain, activate the brain's rational part, and prevent you from saying or doing things that you might regret when you are angry. This method enables you to examine your own feelings and needs instead of blaming others. This can help you better understand your conflict patterns and trigger points. I need to say, deep thinking is not just a skill for children, it is a lifelong habit that help us connect, understand, and grow. When we choose to think rather than react, we create a culture of empathy, one where both children and adults can learn and thrive together. Conflicts are not failures. They are invitations to think deeply, speak kindly, and connect meaningfully. Through Think Aloud, conflict is no longer just an emotional venting, but a deep learning experience about thinking, understanding, and growing. I think that is the importance of deep thinking in the 21st century. Thank you.